I'm Ritika Gupta and you're watching Bloomberg Quicktake. ClassPass is a fitness and wellness membership that connects subscribers to fitness classes across multiple gyms and studios, making workout more accessible. It was founded in 2011 and grew to be $1 billion company before being acquired by MindBody last year. And I'm pleased to say we're joined by the founder of ClassPass, Payal Kadakia. She's also now the author of LifePass, which comes out this month, where she shares her journey and approach to succeeding both in business and life. Payal, welcome to Quicktake.
Thank you for having me.
Wonderful to have you here. And I want to start off really at the beginning, because of course you had an idea that you were passionate about, but a lot of people had ideas, and a lot of the success of course comes in the execution. So talk to us how you got from A to B and some of the steps that you took.
So any single idea in the world, and any founder who knows this, you have to really start with a deep why. And for me, that came from my own passion of dance that I had been doing throughout my life. And I put that together with a lot of the skills I had from going to a place like MIT and Bain. And once I was able to really combine my passion with my skills, I really went out there and, the first step was going and getting some fundraising. And I went to family and friends. I was able to raise some capital. I then hired a team of great people around me, whether it was, friends I had known who were passionate about the space and other people who had technical skills who were able to build my platform. And then, the third part of it, which I think is really important, is to just get the thing out there, because the most important lesson we learned was what people wanted really truly only came when we put the product out there. And we failed many times in the process, but I think we learned from that failure, and that ultimately is why we succeeded.
And Payal, talk to us, you mentioned some of the failures that you had. Talk to us about those failures, because many people say failures can often be more important, in fact, than your successes. So what did you learn from them?
Absolutely. Failure is a data point. I failed many times in this journey. And honestly, I truly believe the day I became an entrepreneur was the day I launched the first idea of ClassPass and failed. And that was an open table-like model for classes. So I was really inspired by the open table-like models that were out there. And I thought that would work in the class space. And so we spent a year building this product, and we were in a tech incubator. We had a lot of press and a lot of investors, and we launched it. And unfortunately, nothing worked, and no one was going to any classes. And we weren't making progress on the business. We weren't making progress on the mission. And that's really when I had to look inward as a founder and decide, what was I really truly going to do to make a difference? And that's when we started pivoting, iterating, and moving forward.
And Payal, talk to us about the pandemic, because this, of course, disrupted many industries, including the fitness and wellness industry, and it really increased our reliance on tech as well. So as a CEO, how did you navigate that? And I'm also keen to hear what you envision, some of the trends you foresee in the fitness space going forward. Is it that more virtual workouts are what we'll see?
It was a hard time. It was hard to see so many of our loved studios, have to shut down literally overnight within a week's notice. And, we halted all of our memberships because it was important for us to make sure that, people felt that they could trust and be in line with our brand and community. And honestly, most of our attention went to protecting our studios, because they are the basis and product that most people are interacting with on our service. And so that was a very important part of it. Of course, we were lucky. We raised a big round of funding right before the pandemic, which helped us through. And, I would say that the most important lesson we really learned was to be resilient, to obviously, see how customers are adapting and keep our tabs on it. So to answer your question, what we did see is a lot of people are doing a hybrid model. I think a lot of people ripped the Band-Aid off of learning to work out at home, which is great for the entire industry and people's health. And so on the other end of it, we're going to be seeing consumer trends that are going to be having a bit more of a hybrid at-home, workout outside at classes type of model.
And Payal, talk to us about some of the specific, you talk about this in your book, some of the challenges you faced being a South Asian female entrepreneur and having to, in many ways, break some stereotypes of what many may have thought an entrepreneur should look like. So talk to us about that and what more you may think needs to be done in terms of inclusive entrepreneurship.
So, my whole life, I think I was different. I grew up in a town where many people didn't look like me. And I learned to really embrace my differences. And that came because most of the times I acted like I was two different people. And I think we face a lot of times in our lives where we have this duality, whether it's in the creative world, the business world, whether it's one ethnicity or another. And I really felt that I needed to find a way to become one. And I found that home in my vehicle of dance. And I think for other people, it's whether it's their work, whether it's activities or hobbies, it's really important that we find an environment that we really succeed in. And entrepreneurship gave me that place where I could be all the parts of who I was. I could be the business person, I could be the creative person, I could be the dancer all in one. And that was very important to me. So while of course it was hard, being somebody who necessarily didn't fit the mold to be an entrepreneur, I knew when I started on the mission of ClassPass, I was exactly where I was supposed to be.
And in your new book, LifePass, you talk about granting yourself permission to plan and prioritize and connect to your calling. And I thought that was an interesting choice of words. So why do you need permission to do those things?
I think a lot of times when we're doing what we love, we feel guilty, right? And we want to go and live our lives with the expectations of others in mind. And the best life we can live is obviously the one we choose for ourselves. And we really need to put the expectations of our own selves into our minds and learn how to prioritize our time so we truly can live the life we want. I was able to really put my career and calling together in creating ClassPass because I listened to what I wanted and made sure I was living my life according to my own terms.
And Payal, you also talk about focus. And I think in today's society, there is this real tendency to just get distracted. But of course, this is like a world where you do need to multitask. So how do you retain that focus with that in mind?
It's a great question. And I truly believe focus has been one of my odd talents since I was very young. I could read a book in the middle of a room full of people. And that really enabled me to do is be able to go deep, right, in solving a problem. And entrepreneurship is really that. It's problem solving, whether it's who to hire or how to devise a strategy for where you're going to launch next. You really need to be thinking critically about every part of the step. So if you're really multitasking, you kind of always stay at the surface and never really go deep enough. So I really learned how to focus my time, especially, right? So in an hour, I can get done as much and be efficient as I think some people can during a day because I've learned to have that focus. And I encourage people, of course, multitasking, like you said, is something we all need to do, but find the time to multitask and find the time to focus.
And Payal, you've also talked about deadlines, and I know that you had 2 weeks that you gave yourself in order to come up with this idea. What's the importance of deadlines, and why specifically that time period that you set yourself?
So when I really became aware of the idea of entrepreneurship, which was about 10 years ago, it wasn't something that a lot of people were buzzing about yet. I didn't know if this was the path for me. And I didn't want to spend years sort of thinking if I could be an entrepreneur. What I really needed to do was say, hey, is this a viable path? Do I have an idea? And you know what? If I didn't come up with an idea, I had other career paths I could have pursued. But I knew I was going to really think this out and focus on it. And it allowed my brain to really be able to say, hey, what problem in the world do I want to solve? And hey, I got lucky. 36 hours later, I was looking for a ballet class online and I couldn't find it. And I had the spark that started ClassPass.
And Payal, what is next for you? So not just as an entrepreneur and an investor, as an artist as well. What are you next thinking you're going to start doing?
Yeah, well, I'm working on an Indian ballet with my dance company, Saw Dance Company, because my culture and the beauty of where I come from has always been such an important part to me. And I can't really wait to showcase that to the world.
And Payal, any advice you have for young budding entrepreneurs out there?
Just get started, put something out there. I think we all fear so much of what's going to happen. And so we sometimes over-engineer, overthink it. But the best way to learn is to put something out there.
All right, sound advice there. Thank you, Payal Kadakia. She's the ClassPass founder, artist, and author of LifePass. Thank you so much for joining us